You're listening to Welcome to Eloma, a podcast for highly ambitious dreamers who get shit done. I'm your host, Kiley Peters. This is a space where we talk about staffing an all-star team. We know that people matter most, and this is extremely evident in the business that we run. However, everything we accomplish, as we know, everything we accomplish is because we've had the right people in place to do so. And while having people in the right seat, the right butts in the right seats, that's the most important element in life and in business. It's also one of the most challenging situations to manage, to find and hire and manage and develop the right team, the right relationships, you name it. And so that's what we're going to get into a little bit with today's guest. Today's guest is Danielle Mulvey. She has cracked the code on recruiting, hiring, and retaining top-notch employees. As a former flight attendant turned entrepreneur, she has scaled several companies to over $50 million in annual revenue, all while spending less than 10 hours each week overseeing their operations. I don't know about you guys, but I am sold. So teach us your ways and welcome to Eloma, Danielle.
Thanks, Kiley. I'm excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. So tell me real quick, I'm sure I'm not the first person to ask you this question, but what flipped the switch for you from flight attendant to entrepreneur?
So, what's funny is the flight attendant gig was only meant to be about a year. It was kind of my gap year after graduation. I was waiting for my 5th year senior boyfriend to wrap up his studies and such. So it was fun. And what's crazy is I learned so many important business lessons then. And one of them being, why don't airplanes fall out of the sky? Not a joke. Do you know why airplanes don't fall out of the sky?
I want to have the right answer right now, but I'm pretty sure I don't. So no, I don't.
Airplanes don't fall out of the sky because pilots follow a checklist. Whether they have 1,000 hours, 3,000 hours, 5,000 hours of flying time, they always have to follow a checklist, which means there's consistency in the process and the system, which is why airplanes don't fall out of the sky. And so, if you kind of think about that and apply that to your own business, when you have processes and systems and they are followed, it removes error. It removes problems. It takes out subjectivity. And so I think what's funny is that we seem to have processes and systems for everything, but there really isn't much of out there in the world in terms of processes and systems for recruiting, hiring employees. And so over the last 25 years of being an entrepreneur and cracking the code and being challenged by Mike Michalowicz, the author of Profit First, I am sharing now with the world the 5-star employee rating system, which is a checklist, which is a process and a system for consistently recruiting and hiring 5-star employees.
I love that. So taking, your experience as a flight attendant, flipping that into entrepreneurship, talk to me a little bit about the companies that you work within, that you founded, and what led you to that niche.
Yeah. So, what's this? I want to say this is a new niche, but it's 25 years in the making on working and teaching the 5-star employee rating system to other businesses. But when I started my first business at the ripe old age of 25, it was an advertising and marketing agency in Nashville. And my brilliant hiring strategy was, because I was so young, I hired people younger than me, because if I was not doing such a great job, I had no idea what I was doing. How would they know?
Right.
And so that strategy worked for like the first few hires. And then I woke up one Monday morning and asked myself, can I call in sick to my own company? Because I was just like done with one of my employees. And I just was not looking forward to another day, another week, another month with them. And that was really my moment where I was just like, I'm good at everything else, but I suck at hiring. I need to focus on this and I need to fix this. And so that is when I literally went all in on, how do I consistently recruit, hire, and retain the best employees. And so it has been a multi-decade journey, and perfecting the process along the way, applying it to my own businesses. Because I have 5-star employees, I don't work in the businesses. I can work on the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I lead each team each day in their daily huddles. And I know what's going on, but the beauty is that I'm there to support them. They're not competing for my time because I'm working in the business and I'm too busy for them, which is often such the ironic part of being a business owner. Is you have to be a great leader and you have to be available to your employees. And if you're in there working it and they can't rely on you to ask a question, or they can't bother you, then that's kind of where things kind of fall apart.
Yeah, for sure. So I think you touched on this a little bit, but as your first business in the marketing advertising space struggled with employees. So you were like, okay, something needs to change here. I'm going to figure out a way to fix this. And over, the last couple of decades, you've created this process to help others. Now, who exactly is the 5-star employee a good fit for?
Yeah. So a 5-star employee represents the top 15% of available talent at the given market rate for the role. So the thing is that a 5-star employee is specific to a role. And here's a perfect example. I could get a job tomorrow as a bookkeeper. Absolutely, hands down. But I would be a 2-star bookkeeper because I know enough to be dangerous, but I wouldn't enjoy the job. And it just wouldn't be great for anyone if they hired me as a bookkeeper. But I could easily get a job as a bookkeeper tomorrow. But I'm a 5-star entrepreneur. So the interesting thing is that the 5-star employee rating system really allows you to be specific and intentional and filter out the people that would be 1, 2, or 3-star employees, the 85% of people out there doing the job. So, and so that you can focus on eliminating those people in your consideration process and focusing in on that top 15% of available talent, which statistically means that 1 out of 7 candidates is a potential 5-star employee. So you need lots of candidates to statistically net out 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential 5-star candidates. And it's important that you have filters and that you're automating, eliminating those 1, 2, and 3-star candidates so you're not tempted by them.
Ooh, tempted by them. Oh, I feel like
Dangerous.
I could dive into that, but let's not play with the 1, 2, 3-star tempters here. Okay, so I think if for anybody listening, the obvious question here is, what makes up a 5-star employee, and what are the top attributes or something, or traits, etc., that we as owners should be looking for?
Absolutely. So there's shockingly 5 criteria in the 5-star employee rating
Didn't
system.
see that one coming.
Simple math. So the first criteria is alignment with core values. So it's so important. We want people to act and think like us, and we think, oh, if I could just clone myself. Well, the closest way that you can clone yourself in your organizations is by hiring people who have core value alignment with you. And when we talk about core values, we're talking about your true, genuine, 100% true, all of the time core values, not the aspirational values, not the group think values that, we tend to see plastered on walls, et cetera. But the true core values. The second criteria are the 11 universal qualities of a 5-star employee. So we've identified 11 qualities of true, genuine 5-star employees. And so what's interesting about this is 2 of them are coded green, which means they're relatively easy to change. 2 of them are coded red, which means those are like red flags. If they don't meet your minimum score for that, then they have eliminated themselves from the process. And the others are gray, which means, they can be improved upon, but they require coaching. So, we're really starting, in every stage here to objectively, assess and understand, is the candidate meeting this? So you design questions based off of the qualities and based off specifically what you're looking for in that. And so two of the red qualities are limber and listen. We challenge employers not to use the term flexibility. And flexibility is an employer want, and it's an employee want. So employees use the term flexible, but employers need to use the term limber, because you need people who are going to be adept to change. They are going to, not mind staying late if you ask them to. They're going to do what it takes. And they can change on a dime and no problem, versus someone who's very rigid and is not going to like when there's a change in policy or a change in procedure. So that would be an example of one of the red qualities on the 11 universal qualities.
Okay, so those are the first two. What are the last three?
Well, so there's 11 qualities. So there's two red ones, and to go through them all, if it's okay, I have a resource, where they're all there, and actually an exercise where you can go through and do the 11 qualities assessment on your best employee ever and on your worst employee ever, and then you'd be like, I get it. So you can get that. It's actually part of this whole 5-star employee rating system guide. And you can get that by texting never settle as one word, never settle to 411-321. And it has all of the 11 qualities there, all the color coding, everything that you need to know, so that we can go on to the third criteria, which are the aptitudes and skills for the role. So we've identified 25 aptitudes, and we challenge hiring managers to go through and pick 9 to 12 or 13 of them that are specific for the role. And then again, what exactly are you looking for with regards to those aptitudes? What are you not looking for? You design questions and you ask questions around those aptitudes, and then you score candidates on their answer, and you decide, what kind of score that you need. Now, here's the thing about the 5-star employee rating system that might shock people. You're not looking for people to score a 5 on every single one, because that means that they are truly perfect, and we're not truly perfect. I mean, I'm not going to score 5 on all the 11 qualities, but I don't need to score 5 on all the 11 qualities, because I don't need people who are 5 in all of the 11 qualities. So, just a tip there, in terms of setting the right expectations. And you also, in addition to the aptitudes, you want to test for skills. So the third criteria is aptitudes and skills. So it's so important that you test for skills that you need for the role, because people will say that they can do it. People will say, yes, I'm a bookkeeper, but the proof is in the pudding. And so, you're wanting to filter out the 1, 2, and 3-star candidates, and those people would not pass a skills test for the skills you need for the role. And every role, no matter what, there are skills tests that you can create or that exist to assess a candidate's actual skills to perform the work. The fourth criteria are success metrics. So you want to have the job kind of boiled down to 3 to 5 key responsibilities. And then for those 3 to 5 key responsibilities, you want to have success metrics. You want to quantify what success looks like for those key responsibilities. So for example, one of our businesses, we process long-term care claims, and the success metrics for our claims examiners who process long-term care claims are that they need to score 98% in terms of financial accuracy in their ad hoc audits. They need to score 95% procedural accuracy, and they need to process 42 claims a day. So we have quantified, we have given a dollar sign, a percentage, a number to what success looks like for the role, because it's so important that people understand, where's the bar set. And what's cool about this too is you include the success metrics in your job posting, and that's an attraction factor for 5-star candidates, and it's a repelling factor for 1, 2, and 3-star candidates who kind of are like, well, I'm not so sure I could do that, so I'll apply to this job that's just had this vanilla job posting that sounds like everyone else, and I'll be fine there. But this one, where they're getting specific about things, no, thank you. But to a 5-star candidate where things are being measured, they're like, yes, bring it. I love it. This means I'm going to be working with people who can do the work too. And then the fifth star in the 5-star employee rating system is return on payroll. You want to make sure that the individual is producing a 3x minimum return on their payroll or their salary. So if you're paying someone $50,000 a year, they should be producing $150,000 in impact on the revenue sales of the company. And every role, even an admin who's not client facing, who's not selling anything, can have a 3x return on payroll. Because as I've mentioned, the 5-star employee is, at the same market rate that you'd pay a 1, 2, or 3-star employee. But it takes only one 5-star employee to do the work, but it takes 2 or 3, 1, 2, or 3-star employees to do the work of one 5-star employee. So you can't take a 2-star employee and say, I'll pay you $10,000 more and expect their performance to all of a sudden improve. They don't have the qualities. They don't have the aptitudes. They don't have the skills. They're not meeting the success metrics. So adding more money to it is just throwing money out the window, basically. So that's the 5-star employee rating system.
Okay. That is very thorough and in-depth, and I love it. And I love the fact that there's a process. And I love that you kicked off this conversation by the checklist and why planes don't fall out of the sky. So for any business owner listening who doesn't want their business to fall out of the sky, check out the checklist. That's the answer. That's the answer.
Never settle. Never settle is the other secret.
Yeah, never settle, man. Oh, that's true in life. All things in life.
True.
Okay. Huh. All right. That's a lot. Okay. So you've gone through entrepreneurship. You're knee deep in your journey already. You've gone through this. You've seen some stuff. Tell me honestly, what costly mistakes have you made when it's come to building your team, which I'm assuming has led you to build the 5-star employee rating?
Yes. And actually, I kind of had an aha a year ago, a little over a year ago. So I have not, to be honest, I mean, I was an intern when I was in college and such, but I've never had interns in our company, in any of our companies over 20 years. And I had family friends who had other family friends who two lovely young women who recently graduated from college, and they wanted to start their own business, so they kind of wanted to see what it was like, and could I offer them an internship? And so I'm like, yes, great. They graduated from an Ivy League school. It's like, okay, no problem. They're vouched for it, everything. And it was only like for 3 months. So, no harm, no foul. It was a paid internship, et cetera. It wasn't a huge commitment. But when it was all said and done, I kicked myself and I was just like, no, never again will I just let interns come in if they don't go through, like I was going to be hiring them as a real employee, as a full-time employee. So that's one of my most recent mistakes, and one that I share with people that, you're thinking, oh, no harm, no foul. It's short term. They've got this great pedigree. They've got referrals from family, et cetera. But it just wasn't a good fit. And so even if it's a 2-week internship, okay, fine. Let them come in for 2 weeks. But if it's anything longer than a couple weeks, you still should take them through your entire process and really make sure it's a good fit for both parties.
And so what's the consequence of not doing that? So as you brought these 2 people in for 3 months, you're kicking yourself. What was the consequence of not following your own process?
I just, it was a waste of time. To be honest, it was
precious.
Waste of time. It was a waste of money because it was a paid internship. So, thankfully it was short term. It was part time. It wasn't too costly, but that's kind of like when you skip your process and system. If you're hiring a real person, that's a full-time position, and now you've got benefits and everything else on top of that. That's where you get the cost of a mishire. If someone leaves your company, whether on their own or because they don't work out after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. If they leave before a year, and they're not producing a 3x return, I mean, that's a mishire.
Well, and I'll take that even one step further too. Like, sure, a mishire in that role, but oftentimes those people have negative impacts on the rest of your team.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Like not even on just on revenue and profit, etc. But you bring in the wrong person, because we've all heard those stories, right? Like, oh, brought in so-and-so and they weren't pulling their own weight. So now, Jojo and Mike had to pick up the slack, and now they don't like this new person, and now they're resentful of the owner, and it snowballs.
Yes, absolutely.
And so it's I will say we went through a hiring phase last year, and I got to a point and I was like, I'm not good at this. Like, I love my team. We have amazing people on the team right now. But I've also hired and seen a lot of people come and go. And I'm embarrassed to admit, but it took me until last year, 2021, to realize, like, wow, okay, this is a real skill. And I don't want this one. Can somebody else do this one?
Yeah. And I think the hard part is that we want to believe people.
Yes, when they say they can do something.
And we know that they want a job, and we're flattered that they want to work for us. So it's this weird, it is this weird, but it becomes too subjective. And that's where that's where it sort of gets muddy, murky, and not good. And so, when you can be disciplined, objective, one quick tip on helping you in the process is always have, outside of the screening interview, that can be done solo. That's short, 20, 30 minutes over the phone, usually, or Zoom. But when you get serious and you start having like hour-plus interviews, make sure they're tandem interviews and someone else is in the room. Maybe someone who that person's going to work with. The other person doesn't have to ask questions. I mean, they can ask questions and jump in at the end and such, but it tends to hold you a little bit more accountable to making sure that you're letting that gut feeling that you're getting just kind of slide by. I also say that, if something is kind of like not feeling right in your gut, you got to trust your gut. And that's okay. There are plenty, despite what the media is saying, there are plenty of great candidates out there. It's just really kind of finding the right mix. Like I'm a 2-star bookkeeper, but I'm a 5-star entrepreneur. A bookkeeping job is not for me. And so, everyone out there is needing to find their 5-star gig, and get out of their 2-star gig.
Okay, I have a question. One of the criteria that you mentioned was to test for skills, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I will say, I'm going to own this. I have done a poor job of doing this in many cases in the past. And what I've run into is like, somebody hasn't officially started working for you. You feel bad asking them to do these things. Like, oh, I don't want it to take up too much time. So I'm sure the answer is it's different for every single type of business. But can you give any examples of like quick down and dirty ways you can ask somebody for a reasonable test to test out certain skills?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. We in all of our companies, we use Objectively Hire as our initial assessment tool. So when you apply in our job posting, it gives you our hiring process. It's really a gauntlet, okay? But we don't call it a gauntlet to them. They have to jump through hoops. They've got to go through things like we are filtering out the 1, 2, and 3-star candidates. A 5-star employee represents the top 15% of available talent. That's 1 out of 7 candidates is a potential 5-star candidate. So we need lots of applicants, and then we need to weed them out. So, so the first step after you apply is completing a 35-minute Objectively Hire assessment. And we don't call it Objectively Hire to them, but the assessment within 24 hours of application. About 70% on average of applicants don't take it. So they read it in the job description, but they don't take it. And we tell them it takes 35 minutes to take. So, so right there, we're eliminating the 1, 2, and 3-star candidates who are just like, yeah, I'll just go somewhere where there's an easy to apply button. And so right there, we start there. Then, our next step is typically doing a screening interview. And then after the screening interview, we'll do some skills testing. And again, it's all laid out there.
No surprises.
And so people aren't surprised. And again, like the 5-star candidate is like, yes, this is exciting. Bring this on. I've got this. I know I can make it through this process or gauntlet as, and people really appreciate it. And so, you know, we say you need to spend a lot of time with the candidate, and the candidate needs to spend a lot of time with you. You guys need to make sure that it's a match and it's a fit. Also, we recommend in the hiring gauntlet that you do, you know, at least 2 deep dive interviews. Have a shadow day with the candidate. You know, and at each stage, you're filtering people out so that you're left with the true 5-star candidates at the end. And on the shadow day, you know, that's 4 to 6 hours. It's paid. If you're in office, you can do it in person, or you can do a remote shadow day. But it's much better to have that experience where they're really actually getting to experience who their potential coworkers are, the culture firsthand, what the work is involved. You can even do some testing there where it's like, hey, you know, join in on this thing, or I give people assignments. So I say, okay, I want you to sit on this meeting. And then when the meeting's done, I'm going to give you like 20 minutes to write a recap email about the meeting. Okay. And so, you know, some of it, they go off and then they come back 20 minutes later with the recap email. We also like to be social and kind of have like a meal or something. I've got one member in our group at the All In Company. They do a happy hour with their candidates on another day outside of the shadow day to get to know the candidate on kind of like a social, more social oriented basis. But that's great opportunity. And I've had people who, you know, have said, oh, I'm in property management, but I want to get a job in construction. So they've done 2 days of shadowing, and one of my businesses is the construction material supply business. And after the second day, he was like, you know what? I thought I wanted to be in construction, but no, I think I'm going to stay in property management. And I'm like, great, no problem. I paid him $240 for 2 days. And if he would have taken the job without having experienced it, he would have hated it. And he would have then spent the next 3 months trying to get out of this job. And I would have wasted 3 months' salary on this person and had to start the whole process over again. So shadow days are, you know, incredibly valuable in terms of making sure that there's that fit. And that both parties are like, yeah, let's do this.
For sure. Okay. Danielle, you've laid down so many good nuggets here. What's the biggest thing that you want listeners to take away from this conversation when it comes to finding, hiring, managing, developing their talent?
Never settle. The 5-star candidate is out there. The 5-star candidate is out there. Never settle for less than 5-star. Okay.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Tell me a little bit about what you're working on right now that you're most excited about.
So Mike McCallowitz, the author of Profit First, and I are collaborating on his next book that will come out in the December of 2023, tentatively titled All In. So that is really exciting. I've never really wanted to write a book, so it's much more fun collaborating with someone and not having to do the writing. So that's fun. We're sharing content in the book. We've got members in our All In community, and they're going to be the case studies in the book. So it's been really fun and exciting to work on.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've read many of books by Mike, and he's great. That's very exciting. Danielle, as a multiple time entrepreneur, and multi-potentialite, let me ask, what impact do you want to make on the world, or what legacy do you want to leave?
The legacy I would like to leave is that everyone finds their 5-star employee, and every 5-star employee finds their 5-star gig. And you know, that we start to get real and genuine and serious and objective about finding that right fit. Because when you're a 5-star employee working for a 5-star employer in a 5-star gig, I mean, that's where the magic happens. And that's where, you know, everyone is living their purpose. They're living their why. They're happy. They're contributing. And so, you know, that's what I am shooting for, is that people really get serious and objective about their hiring and use something like the 5-star employee rating system.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, yes, the world would be a better place if we all were awesome at all the things that we do, right? And my last question for you, Danielle, is what is your greatest insight or discovery about life and entrepreneurship?
That you just have to keep going. And it will eventually pay off. And you just have to remind yourself that everyone else is going to give up and quit. And that's why you have to keep going. You got to move that ball down the field every day. And it will pay off as long as you don't give up.
Just keep going. I love it. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today. You've shared all kinds of great words of wisdom. For anyone listening who wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to find you?
So go to or text Never Settle as one word, Never Settle, to 411-321, and you'll get the How to Hire 5-Star Employees guide that walks you through all the 5 criteria, the 5-star employee rating system, reveals all the 11 qualities of the 11 universal qualities of a 5-star employee. And then also there is a link that I'd be happy to chat with you and kind of talk through your biggest struggle right now in terms of recruiting, hiring, or maybe needing to let an employee go.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure, just to reiterate. Okay. So the code was Never Settle, one word. And the phone number that you need to text is
411-321.
Love it. Okay. We'll make sure that that's also in the show notes. For anyone listening who has been taking notes, such as I have, please go ahead, leave a review wherever you're listening if you've enjoyed today's episode. And Danielle, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all of your knowledge.
Thanks. Cheers to going all in, Kiley.
Yeah. To continue learning how to better build your business and make your vision a reality, subscribe to the Welcome to Eloma email list at welcometoeloma.com.